This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, hello there. Gather round, Zoomers. It's time for a story. The tale of VCT Americas Kickoff 2025. Now, 12 teams came to the Riot Games Arena with colorful jerseys and a fighting spirit, and dreams of winning the coveted Kickoff trophy. Everyone wanted a trip to a magical place called Bangkok, but there was only enough room for 2 teams to make the journey.
Why not 3 teams? Maybe even 4. Where are 100 themes?
I don't know, man. Take that up with Leo Faria or something like that. I don't make the rules. Just tell a story here. All right.
Miss 100 Thieves.
Enough of you. Let's focus. Now, the competition was fierce, and everyone gave it their all. But it became clear that tried and true strategies weren't the recipe for success. Innovation was needed.
What's innovation, GP?
Well,
I've never heard that word, Unc.
Some say innovation was a ship that sailed in the revolution. Others say that it's not running the same damn Haven Comp from 2023.
They were doing that anyway.
Well, yeah, unfortunately. Now look where they are. But in any case, though, it could come in the form innovation, maybe someone like a wizard like Tejo from Colombia, or maybe a thorny sentinel named Vice who can snatch away your weapons in a blink of an eye, or better yet, traveling to Fracture, a battleground that many fear, especially Brazilian teams. But the teams that innovated were awarded with success and avoided the GG. Well played.
But Unc, which teams didn't make it to Masters?
Oh, quite a few, actually. Evil Geniuses, Cloud9, Loud, 2G, Crew, not to be confused with G2, Leviathan, MIBR, 100 Thieves, Mimi's favorite team.
Yeah, but,
Sad.
but what about the other teams? Furia didn't make it, and there was NRG. They had that friend of yours from back in the war, right?
Oh, yes, Finesse. We served valiantly on the battlefield for many years. In any case, so they were sent to the glue farm to be converted.
The glue farm?
Oh, sorry.
You have to bring them back.
They
Not
actually.
Finesse.
I'm sorry. I misremembered. They went to another farm. Glue is present, but they will not be converted to glue. There's still more of a season to play.
We all saw the glue.
We all saw the glue. But don't worry, they're scrimming day and night, and they'll be back. But in the end, only 2 remained. G2 and Sentinels, they've secured their passage to Masters Bangkok. But first, they must do battle for the Kickoff trophy.
Unc, what will happen next?
No one knows for sure, not even Sliggy. But we're about to find out.
G2 and Sentinels are bound for Masters Bangkok. But first, they're gonna do battle for the trophy and the right to say that they are #1 in the Americas. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kickoff Grand Finals, coming at you live from the Riot Games Arena in Los Angeles, California. You see, I can't
You said
say
it
I
right.
didn't say California.
Oh, wait a minute.
Always say
Los
that.
Angeles, California. That's right, folks.
You're looking so young and vital.
Yeah, for sure. That was like looking into the mirror of the future, and let me tell you, didn't like what I saw. But I still have my Air Max, so that was pretty dope.
Unfortunately, though, at both that age and this current one that you're still in,
Which is like
you're
54.
still being called Unc. I'm gonna keep
It was
that
a little
up.
too real.
He's still Unc.
Well, allow Unc to move the show on, shall we? And talk about G2 and Sentinels. There you go. They ran it back, or excuse me, they're gonna run it back for the crown. And Wyatt, you're so right there. As Unc, let me go ahead and give you the first question.
Okay.
How do you feel this tournament has panned out? This has been a wild ride for sure.
My first takeaway from this tournament is that everything that happened in the offseason that we speculated about coming into this tournament, completely irrelevant. Some of the worst teams of the offseason were some of the best teams so far in Kickoff. All of that went out the window, but 2 of the big favorites, they lived up to the hype. G2 bringing in Jaw, and SEN, though they had to get rid of Tenzin and Saucy, sadly, they're 2 fantastic replacements, living up to their own individual hype.
You're putting it like you're putting that like they got sent to a farm upstate. They retired.
Well,
They didn't get rid of them.
Did you not hear where they went? Maybe
Yeah, they're there at the
writer
blue
before
farm.
the reader,
Poor guys.
old man.
Pour one out for those two.
But look, something I do want to put on everyone's radar here, right? Because look, while the results are in and that we have our two teams are going to be representing the Americas region at Masters Bangkok, it is very important to remember that this match does in fact matter. A cynical person might say, both these teams are going there. Who cares, right? No. See, the points are going to be so important because look at number 3 and 4. I want to draw the attention there. That is nothing separating those two teams. And when you win this one, G2 or Sentinels, you get that coveted extra point. These championship points are very important, Mimi. I know that you were focusing on them before as well. These things are going to be such a big factor going into the later years.
The numbers we're seeing there were from last year, but that was showing how important it was to
Yeah,
get
that's
early.
what I was saying, from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 12-12. Yeah.
I'm proud of you. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. No, but Sentinels absolutely had a boon last year from winning kickoff, from winning Masters Madrid. Those points propelled them despite a disappointing mid-season, failing to qualify to Shanghai. They still went to champions, made a top 4 performance there, and managed to round out their year on a very positive note, all because of that hard work at the beginning, earning these points.
I mean, to be clear as to how crucial the win for them in kickoff was last year, in the playoffs, in stage 2, it was out of their hands whether or not they made it.
Yeah.
It relied on Osbos and Leviathan beating Crew so they could make it to champs, despite having some struggles after, that kickoff win, not getting enough points in stage 1. So this is of the utmost importance when we're looking down the line for the rest of the year and for the most important tournament of the year.
Yeah.
When they're telling you your vote matters, it might come down to 1. Championship points is where that's actually real, and it did come down to 1 last
Not
year.
have the Valorant Electoral College. Every point matters.
We don't need that. We don't need that system in place. Now, of course, on a normal day, all right, we'll usually show you a recap. You see a couple player moments. They're going like, "Oh yes, bro," or like, "Nice," something like that.
Yeah, that's
but
exactly
today,
what they
that's
sound
exactly
like.
how they sound. But today, we're actually going to flip the script a little bit. We're going to play a new game called React Recap, I think, or React Recap. I don't know even why I said it the first
React,
one.
Recap,
React Recap. Yeah, there it is. Well done. All right, so here's how it works. We're going to show a reaction, and then you have to figure out what the play is. And these are going to be some of the best moments of kickoff, and you folks, lovely folks at home, can play as well. So let's go ahead and see our first reaction.
Oh, I already know that.
I know what this
Asuna
is.
on the rope.
On the rope.
Easy mode.
Split.
We're starting easy.
2K.
That's Asuna on the rope, getting
It
the
has to
2K.
be.
John being sad because he got headshot midair.
It has
We
to
already
be.
know.
Yeah, well,
We already know.
if let's see if that is the play, because we got, let's see, so what are Asuna and EU reacting to? Is it EU's ace on Pearl versus Leviathan, or Asuna's lucky kills
I
at
wonder
ropes
why.
on
I
Vine?
refute the word lucky. That was skillful from Asuna, and I will be going with option number 2.
Option number 2.
Very high skill. Yeah, that's what it was.
Got to be number 2. All right, let's see. Survey says, I'm curious what it is. It has to be number 2, because I don't think that. Yeah, it's correct.
And it's correct. We're
Let's
being
watch
told.
This
It's
was
beautiful.
the most ridiculous thing I've maybe ever
So
watched in this game. He
freaking dumb.
still could not see the second player. He still had rope inaccuracy.
It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Wasn't lucky, though.
Amazing.
All skill, all skill, all skill.
Also,
The game is working as intended.
now let's see another reaction. All right, so far so good. We got an easy one.
Oh my God!
Oh,
Oh my God!
questioning a lot of things.
did Mata-
What did Mata do?
He's Neon Ace on Haven versus NRG, or is Pistol Ace on Bind versus NRG?
Oh, was
Wait.
it
Wait,
the
versus
neon?
He's on NRG.
Wait, yeah.
Wait a
that-
minute.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
Hold up.
Pause, Sham.
Wait,
That's gotta be
the
the
neon-
neon one.
Might be the neon one. Wait.
Wait.
Yeah. Might be the neon.
Yeah, it's the neon.
It's the neon.
It's the neon.
It's got to be the neon.
It's the neon.
Because that was a crazy play.
Run the neon.
Number 1, option 1, but also played against NRG. So turns out he's a turncoat.
Was it
Secret agent. Nope, it's
Whoa.
Pistol Ace. This was a sick clip too.
Oh, yeah,
Wasn't
he ran
as
in.
shocking, but the shots, the one tap there on the guy elbow, and then the one tap on the guy hookah. Just an insane round for Mata.
I do not remember that reaction.
By the way, guys, we were all stupid because we saw in the back roll a picture of Raze. And he was playing Raze.
Where did we see that?
All right.
that
Let's
makes
see our
sense.
next react. Okay.
Oh, I think.
This is a silly.
I think. Well,
What Trent play is this? Is this his 1v2 clutch?
That's
or
the first one that came
Demon
to mind. When he
dying
hit that
to his own molly?
crazy flick shot, he was looking at Art and then snapped over
He's
to Main.
really chortling though. I think this might be Demon 1 dying to his molly. In Fracture Heaven, in the clutch where Demon 1 mollies, he only has one play to run through it and then he burns to death.
Trent gives I'm so good, it's like funny when I do good things.
I'm going Demon 1.
He doesn't gas
All right,
himself up
with?
like that. He's just a silly guy. And I'm going
guy.
with option number 1,
Okay.
even though I think option number 2 on paper makes more sense. It's bait.
That's what I'm saying.
It's option number 1.
I'm a tour all the way.
I'm a tour. All right, let's see what it is. We'll get the clip played in a second here. And it is Demon 1 dying to his own molly.
I thought that was
sucks.
trolling. I thought they were trying to pull a fast one on us with that.
I'm going to be honest here. Demon 1, this was a kind of unlucky moment. The geometry on that angle is really hard to get a good bounce off of because it has like the doorway seal, like just unfortunate. I thought he played the round really well. It's
that
just
actually
unfortunate that he
happens all the
looks
time.
like a Demon 1G.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's tough. That was a great call from Josh, not to hype him up
That
too
were-
much. That
yeah,
was,
we don't want to give
coming
such
up with that in the he remember that in the moment.
That's true. That's true. Somewhere
that guy's-
Summit is coping and
That guy's good.
Now, of course, G2 is on the cusp of their trophy, their first trophy, as a matter of fact, here in the Americas stage, and they have a incredible VCT journey. This is a squad that has stayed together through thick and thin. The core 3 of this squad had been together for a while, right? You had Trent, Valen, as well as Jonah P. Mimi, we've been following this team for such a long time, and it's incredible to see them at this point.
The last trophy in VCT, besides that Ascension one that this team lifted, was when they were the Guard in 2022, and that was against Optic then. The journey since that game has been incredible for this team. Not getting into the Partnership League, playing a whole year of challengers together, making it to VCT, and then failing in their first kickoff. Having to drop Net, who they had been playing with for years, taking a risk on a new player, and then making 2 international events, having 2 second-place finishes regionally, a 3rd place at Shanghai last year, and all of this is as the Ascension team.
Yeah, they have been the definition of consistency, and it's always felt like they've just needed something to push them over the top.
Yeah.
And that is what they brought Jaw in to do, to get that extra kill in that important moment, to be the X factor.
And people are calling this team the likely best team in the world, the best team in Americas. They have those lofty expectations, and that's despite them coming from challengers, having that long run. They're the ultimate proof of sticking together and playing with the same team and improving as a team and just seeing the benefit from that. And that all came together in this game against Sentinels. It was absolutely dominant.
Yeah.
This is such a good display from G2.
I love how many people we saw in the match on Pearl yesterday, by the way, playing in what I am at least now dubbing in my brain the Jaw spot on Pearl, where he got that 4K. Because against said MIBR, they kept having players stood there just trying to recreate the magic.
It's crazy.
He's different, though.
And
He is
he
different.
really does manage to squeak away with some wild plays for sure.
Yeah, and G2, despite looking so good, they still have not had to show that much. They've only played 4 maps in the pool. Every single one of those is undefeated.
2 of those maps, they only played them twice.
Yeah, and today they have the double ban advantage coming from the upper bracket. So they have a real chance here to scrape away with not having to really show anything new.
Yeah.
Only show 4 maps going in to Masters in Bangkok would be insane. Not only is their form perfect, their read has been absolutely on point on all of the comps we've seen, and I know they have a lot more to show on these other maps.
Definitely. It was crazy to see for their first 2 matches that within those 2, they played 4 different maps and looked dominant on all of them. They didn't have to show anything new against Sentinels, as you were saying. A lot still hidden. And then what we've seen, though, is why we have them in that status of being the best team easily in Americas coming into this, possibly the best team in the world, too. Strong chance.
Yeah.
A lot of people arguing that that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a squad that made a massive upgrade going into the 2024 season when they brought on Leaf into the team. And even though it didn't quite work out with Icy the way they would have wanted to, what they needed, as we were talking about, was a little bit more of that oomph. And who better to do that than the dog himself, Jogamo? He really has made a difference. And what's been fascinating, Mimi, is to learn he didn't just make a difference with the team in-game. He also made a difference with the team out of the server with his just energy.
Yeah, the energy he gives. You contrast this player to Icy, and it does feel night and day. Icy is a young player who had his first big chance with G2. He was playing the way they wanted, but he was very much the guy who was following the lead of Josh RT, of Valen, and kind of fitting into that system the best he could. You contrast that to Jojimo, who's a world champion, who has unfathomable confidence in everything he does. And the players have talked about him bringing that energy into the team, being the guy who shifts the vibe to make more of those confidence plays, to be that guy who's willing to take those risks, win the rounds. And that's just what he's doing for the energy outside the game. He's demonic in the server too, Wyatt.
I loved what I heard from Josh in one of the interviews before their first match. Even Riv asked him about that addition, and he had spoke about how he's made this team so much more dynamic in the pace that they're playing. We know the slow G2 on attack, but then you add in that extra element where Jaw is going to go for the aggressive play, a crazy flank, a timing on the Yoru with his teleport. That's something that they didn't have before, and they've met in the middle at this amazing spot where the team can now do so much.
Yeah, they've found this chemistry, and it has been absolutely beautiful to watch unfold. Of course, speaking of Josh RT, as a matter of fact, and actually speaking of Riv, both are standing by to get some thoughts ahead of today's matchup.
That's a segue. Give me a raise.
I'm joined by Josh RT before the big match today. Continued consistency from the team. You guys always seem dominant. What is it about the mentality, the approach? Has anything changed this year? Why is it so successful?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why we were successful. I always remind the players, like, don't forget that. But the mentality shift, I think, this year I've been preaching a lot more something I call like a fighter's mentality as opposed to a victim one. And I think that's just a healthy mindset in approaching any type of competition like this. There's always things that can go wrong, and I anticipate things to go wrong against Sentinels. They are always strong, like firepower-wise. They can always disrupt us, so we just got to absorb, expect adversity, and take on that challenge.
All right, thank you for the insight. Good luck in the finals.
Some good insight there from Josh RT. I wanted to talk about some of the little things that G2 is doing really well. Because for a team that didn't look that amazing in the offseason, who haven't had a crazy amount of practice since adding Jojimo, it seems like they're at the point where they're still getting every detail right. And this is just one little example I want to show. It's in the game SEN versus G2. They've just won the bonus round, and the round, I mean, it's already over. They have 5 players left. SEN's in a position trying to save, but crucially, you have Trent one off his ultimate. And what G2's really good at is maximizing their orbs, prioritizing getting those ultimates online, and using that to snowball games. This match, they went up 10-2, so let's take a look at what Trent does. He knows these players are saving towards spawn. The round win banner is going to block it off. He doesn't get that kill, but look at him. He immediately hurls himself off the map upon realizing he doesn't have time to get that kill. And because he's one off and he's already taken damage from another player, normally you don't get an orb when you hurl yourself off the map, but because he took damage, he's gonna get one and earn himself the Sova ult from taking this little flight off the side of Abyss. And as we segue into this very next round here, with that ult online, with Sentinels saving, they have some guns. It's a 4v4, any real team's game in this position, and they're setting up for a hit into the A site here. They've already taken down one player, Bang, with an Outlaw who was playing up there on top box, and now there's just a Soul Anchor on this side. And you can see just how good the utility they're sending in on this execute is. A Yoru flash just popped up here. That's combined with this really high breach flash, who's even hitting this player all the way in back site. A dart's gonna come in from Trent at that very same time that there's an Astro Gravel, a stun coming in. The util is all perfect. And you see, the way that Sentinels is forced to play this is completely vacating the site. Omen is still rotating in. Jets had to fall all the way back. And they're going to be playing a full 4 versus 4 retake. And this is where what Trent did in the last round comes in. G2 excel at being in these winning positions and thinking about the next thing to close out the round. Here, they're going to make the decision. We have Jaw on the Yoru. He has a gate crash to get out. He's going to get very proactive, and he'll be allowed to fight into backside. You see, Shock Dart's coming over to help him out. He's going to hold down this space. And as Sentinels eventually, I'll speed it up a little bit, make the decision to retake into this site, here they come. In comes that Hunter's Fury that Trent earned in the last round. In comes the Astra utility. And it's perfect team fighting from G2 to close out the rounds. That wasn't a crazy cool round, you know, it was just an honest hit onto the A site. But what they're doing is having the little things right so consistently. always maximizing their ultimate economy, always thinking about the next thing to close out a round. And those are those details that you haven't really seen from other teams in Americas just yet, and that normally take a long time of practice to get right. It's only been a couple months with Jog, and they're already there.
Yeah, that's scary.
I mean, absolutely. That's also the benefit of just keeping the core for so long and then inserting that extra element.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's going to be a difficult task for their opponents today, and that brings us over to the Sentinels, who are, of course, no strangers to the position that they find themselves in here, because last year they managed to get the revenge on Loud in this very grand final and win Kickoff, and then went on to win Masters Madrid, as you can see here. So Kickoff ended up being a massive push for Sentinels, and Wyatt, I think it's safe to say that Sentinels, they're looking like they want to try and make history repeat itself.
Definitely, and that's where they got the aforementioned valuable champions points, where we also saw in there. They came in 4th place. They made a deep run at the end of the year in their crucial international event as well. They claimed another trophy for the Sentinels trophy cabinet that they've got in the office, continuing the legacy of this org in Valorant as, always retaining a top spot.
Sentinels were really molded by the lower bracket, both in their kickoff run and going back into Masters Madrid. And it's basically the same this year. They've had to play a lot more Valorant than G2 has shown. They've played 5 out of 7 maps in the pool. They played a lot longer series. They played 40 rounds in one game.
The longest series ever.
But in doing all of that, I think in that last BO5, they proved to me that they've gone from a team who is making those mistakes, flashing their teammates, having the timing be off in the upper bracket, to one that really looked like they were clicking in that game against MIBR. They looked a lot more coordinated with the utility. I'd imagine the comms were a lot calmer based off the way that players were setting up to use util to swing off each other. They're in a position again where Sentinels is peaking at the right time, but it's still against a G2 that's just like perfect.
Absolutely. That was the best utility that we've seen from Sentinels all tournament in their game yesterday. And I think that's where you definitely look at a guy like Zelsis, who's messing up some flashes, things on KO, Vice earlier on. But yesterday was lights out.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. We'll talk a little bit more about Zelsis. But for now, though, to send it back over to Rib, who's standing by now with the coach of Sentinels.
I'm with Kaplan before the grand final today. Thanks for taking a moment. It's just a short turnaround from yesterday. The team is young. They're still gelling. How do you kind of approach this for them and prepare them for such a big moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a tough spot. They get double bans and a day off. We don't. But we've been working on our energy, working on our presence on stage. It helped us a lot yesterday. We're just going to stay focused on what we're working on and go from there.
Kaplan, thank you. Good luck in the match.
Kaplan bringing up a great point there about the energy. When I talked to him at match point yesterday, he was speaking about that at length, and even going and mentioning how players like Narrate were definitely stepping up. But if there's one individual who you always lean on in those moments, right, and I have to say it at least once, it's the VOD merchant himself. It's Zelsis, who yesterday, and Wyatt, you were talking about this briefly, he popped off.
Yeah, and you're allowed to call him the Vibe Merchant because that's his actual nickname. But then it just got thrown to anyone that's positive. It's only him. It's only him. We have to stop that. But more importantly than the nickname debacle is the level of play that he displayed to absolutely destroy MIBR, specifically on Lotus. His Vice had questionable moments earlier in this tournament. On Lotus specifically, against a team like Loud, not the case there. Then he goes over to Pearl, is going crazy again when he's on the KO. He's fragging out. Really tightened up his utility game. And then when you have the aim on point on a day like that too, and the energy he's bringing to the squad, easy MVP of yesterday to get them into this final.
Yeah. For sure. Josh was talking about it yesterday, how it looked like in previous matches, Celsius was getting overwhelmed with some of his utility, making mistakes in these high-pressure situations. He absolutely cleaned that up. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most is the way he was varying where he played on sites while anchoring on Vice, both on B on Pearl in that overtime, where they won pretty much every defense round, and on the C site on Lotus. He did a great job of having a variety of setups and knowing exactly how to play around his utility to isolate the critical fights onto the MIBR entry players, even against a double duelist comp. And his performance was one of the biggest reasons that Sentinels is here today. And
it's an elevating feeling to be like the emotional leader of the team, but then you also are popping off in the server as well. It's like, at that point, you're like Super Saiyan 3, Goku, the hair's coming out, the eyebrows are going away. It's time to power up. But speaking of Zelsis real fast, and we mentioned him just a second ago too, there's another player that he looks to in those situations as well. There's one player in particular that he wanted to highlight. Let's check it out.
I would have to give my special shout out to Narrate, to be honest.
Okay.
He has been a phenomenal teammate, especially in the roles he's playing and giving his all. So Narrate's my MVP for the vibes today.
Awesome, awesome.
And there you can see, the faith in Narrate that he has there. Now, you're probably wondering, what the hell's going on, GB? And don't worry, I got you covered, because in less than 2 weeks, these two teams are going to take the stage in Bangkok, Thailand for the first Global of 2025. And I figured that's as good of an excuse as any to eat some Thai food. Really, we had money in the budget, so I figured, why not? Let's put a huge order.
I'm so fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great vegetarian option.
Is there anything else,
so
or are
much.
we just going to eat food?
Well, look, here's the deal. All right, we're gonna try three dishes, and the spice level will increase along the way. And you know what? Why don't we do a power ranking for the 8 teams heading
GB?
into Masters Bangkok as well?
I've not watched half the regions yet because I've been working
You
this
know
year.
what? I really don't
I feel
care.
like that's critical information.
I think I'm good. I don't really care. Let's do the first one.
Oh, okay.
Tofu skewers. All right.
love that.
You gotta dip them in the sauce over here.
Rabbit
Level
wire.
2 is gonna
Oh, I
be the
love that.
drunken noodles, and then level 3 will be the green curry. Okay, so here we go. We got the
Just
tofu
peanut
skewers with the peanut
Honest
sauce.
food.
And you got a power rank as well. So don't forget that. Where's the pen? Oh my gosh. The pen is missing, everyone. It's okay. Next time.
That's honest, good,
take
simple.
over, GB?
G2, 1.
G2 1? Okay,
Yep.
so G2 number
Really?
1. That's what you're going with? G2
For real.
number 1.
So I've watched CMEA, I've watched Americas. It's not biased. I think they're the cleanest team in the world right now. They've looked absolutely on point all their games. One
Biased.
of the best meta rates. Shut up. Give me vitality.
Bias. Okay. All right, you want
Vitality number
vitality.
2.
And they've
Okay.
got to be number 2.
All right, drunken
Why-
noodles,
you
drunken
pick
noodles.
it while I
Get
eat.
some noodles.
All right, drunken
Okay.
noodles.
Let me keep telling you what to do. From there, number 3, EDG. Get them in there.
EDG. All
They might
right.
even be number 2.
No,
People are
they're
gonna
number
be
3.
Pissed, but I think number 3 is
They
fine.
had such a big fall off in the group stage, and then they came back and
DRX.
EDG.
DRX.
Okay. All right.
Freeing and Hyunmin, they're goated.
No,
DRX.
I will not stand for DRX number 3.
Yeah, you-
I watched
Wait,
the
DRX
upper
number 3,
final.
DRX number 4?
Lower.
Where?
I mean 4. Sorry, 4.
4.
No, 5, 6,
5. Okay.
No, they're in 4.
Oh my god.
Okay, they're in 4?
Who would be bad?
Okay.
Okay, that one's actually a little spicy.
Okay.
Um,
There's water over here.
give me another, I don't need it. Another
This
team.
is good.
Green curry.
Sentinels. I think Sen are like 4 or 5.
So tasty.
Sentinels are 4 and
If he
5?
feels strongly about DRX, whatever, you can put Sen 5. Sen's pretty good. They're an upset team. They could go on a run. It's going to be tough, though.
Okay.
Who's the next team?
You guys are just
dog.
eating. This was supposed to be food for me, and then they're eating the damn food.
This is spicy.
All right, what's
wait,
number
there's
6?
the curry.
We have
This one is
Trace,
spicy.
Team Liquid, and T1.
Trace is legitimately really good.
Trace.
I
Okay,
think
so
Trace is 6.
you're putting Trace in 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they 6th place good, or are they like
Could be better.
could be better?
T1 have to be 7th. And T1 are probably going to finish even higher because the players are so cracked and they just
They
run
are
around.
not going to. I'm not going to lie.
will.
I think Trace could be better than DRX.
So then
that
in that-
one's actually spicy.
So then, are we putting Team Liquid over here?
Yeah,
Team
you
Liquid,
can't have
even though-
you can't have mud without liquid, and I don't know how they made it. I was on my hater arc after seeing the stage on. It was bad,
Yeah,
but
we're-
they made it.
we're
They did the
heretics.
run.
Heretics.
Oh, that's I'm like
wait.
tearing up.
Actually.
Oh wait, Liquid beat
Liquid
them
They
today.
beat them.
I know. That's my point. Where are they?
Trace is
Why are they not
underrated.
here?
You know
DRX
what?
might be overrated.
I think this segment worked out really well.
This
In
is
any
not a
case,
good
though,
power
folks,
ranking.
we got a full house
Top four
today,
is fine.
and the fans are packing the arena for the grand final. So let's go ahead and find out from our fans which team they think is taking home the trophy. And I'm gonna get some curry. Oh, you got it.
We are outside at the Riot Games Arena for the kickoff grand finals, and I wanted to stop and see what a few of the fans had to say about who might win today. Who do you got going home with the W?
Oh, it's G2, easy clap.
Okay.
Easy.
Okay. G2, who do you got?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've gotten my heart broken 3 times. I think my sign says everything. I got G2 today.
All right, let's see what else they're saying.
G2.
G2.
It's gotta be Sentinels, bro.
It's gotta be Sentinels.
100% Sen. Let's go.
I'm also Sen, 100%.
100% for Sen.
I'm gonna go G2. I'm going for Sen.
G2!
I want Sentinels, but it's probably G2.
I have no idea.
Sentinels! Sentinels!
Sentinels!
G2!
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 Sentinels! Sentinels!
Sentinels!
Our fans are loving it. We're eating some Thai food
GB,
here. It's a good time.
I'm not gonna lie, the EPA was registering a dangerous amount of copium in that parking lot. Sentinels, the fandom.
Let's throw up our predictions here and see what we thought heading into our grand finals.
If this is not a guarantee, I will be flabbergasted.
Yeah, this is a VCT Americas guarantee.
It's Rivington, what are you doing?
Rivington, the outlier. No. Holy moly.
Rivington Bislin the fourth would have never gone for that. The third, diabolical.
It's time to get this show started. It's G2 versus Sentinels. It's a BO5 for the crown. VCT Americas Kickoff Grand Finals starts right now.
We really want this kickoff trophy. Qualifying to the Masters event is nice, but last year was just always top 3, top 2, and never could close it out. But this year is going to be completely different.
Last time against G2, they beat us 2-0 pretty cleanly. I'm hoping to get revenge, and I'm just really excited for it.
We definitely exposed SEN, but I would say a lot of teams before us already exposed them. SEN were able to come out with those wins, but it was very close, 2-1s, close like games, a lot of heroic plays in Zekin.
You know what the numbers say about the round they win with that ultimate up, and he's going to emerge with a Bucky, and Artazine will be caught. Zekin will end the round here.
So rematching a team pretty soon after you play the first time is always tough. Like, I think historically the chances of the team losing first and then rematching of them winning is very high, so we just need to focus on us and make sure we're prepared for anything.
Gets a rifle instead. Here's an Alchemand, they're going to try and flood out together, but Jonah P! Oh, that's dirty! And G2 is more than just a statement. G2-0, it's a lifestyle, baby.
Their team play and their utility is pretty close to perfect. We definitely have to bring our A game if we want to beat them.
We're honestly looking like the best team. I didn't want to say it until we actually, got over the well, I wouldn't say we're not over the finish line yet, but we got to the first step, which was qualifying to the Masters event, and now it's just closing it out with a kickoff trophy.
Riot Games Arena, welcome to the Kickoff Grand Final. Make some noise for the team that's made a flawless upper bracket run. G2 Esports!
G2 Esports coming through, and look, this is a squad that has had so much hype coming into the season because of that man right there. Once they picked up Jogamo, it was like the complexion of the team changed entirely, and now here they are, Wyatt, and they are absolute juggernauts.
What was crazy as well is that in the first 2 matches, Jaw was kind of chilling. He didn't need to be the star for the team. They're so well-rounded. Leaf is just effortlessly, getting 20-plus kills, map after map. And then, in that last series against Sen, Jaw just came to life and crushed them.
And now, it's time to bring out their opponents in this best-of-5 series. Last year's kickoff champions, Sentinels!
And you heard Riv say it, last year's kickoff champions looking to defend their crown here at the Kickoff Grand Finals again. And I gotta say, quite impressive of Sentinels to be able to make 2 Grand Finals in a row for the Kickoff.
G2, they had such a dominant run to get here, not losing a map, finding themselves from the beginning. Sen, it took some time, but in that lower bracket game against MIBR, it was the best we've seen from Sen thus far this year. Zeus has stepped up big time. Narrate coming alive back on the Fade as well, and they're in a position now to try and upset G2 and get their revenge.
It is an uphill battle going up against the team that hasn't lost a map yet, hasn't had to reveal their entire map pool. Yeah, and you already got crushed by them, dismantled.
Ooh, okay, well, we got Split, Pearl, Abyss, and if necessary, we'll finally see some Fracture, and then Haven to close it out.
So we're starting off with something new for G2. They've not shown their split yet. Sen have shown it 3 times, most recently beating MIBR. So clearly seeing some gap there and having the opportunity to put Sen into this game absolutely blind.
If we do go the distance to all 5 maps, we're going to see everything that G2 hasn't played yet, which which is pretty cool. Bold choice to pick that split first. They have the tape on Sen, and Sen have literally no idea what they're going to be running. Maybe they bring in the chamber like we saw EG have with Ye on this map.
Yeah.
Maybe Leaf continues to play that role.
So many options.
Or he's on the Viper. They have options, like you said.
Yeah, the flexibility of the players, Leaf especially, is huge. But also, I think G2 have been the defining team in the meta. And when we talked to Valen, he said he felt like other teams were behind them, taking their ideas, stealing it in scrims, and implementing it. They've truly been the innovators in VCT Americas this year.
Yeah, these are the two teams that by far have been the most experimental, pushing the meta forward, trying to be ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
Correlation doesn't equal causation, but it's interesting that they're both in the finals, and that's a common theme for the two of them.
There were such big changes coming into kickoff. 2 new maps in the pool. Taeho being released, honestly, just a few weeks before we even started. Teams had very little time to put it all together.
Which was why I was shocked when John QT wanted to just go full investment on the
But
table.
I loved that idea from Sentinels and G2 as well. They don't want to be stuck in the past, playing the same stuff they have been before. They want to find the read on the meta that is going to put them ahead of other teams. And I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to win you games at international events. Americas has been the most Taeho-pilled region. We've been playing so much Taeho, so much Vise, and I think that'll be a big upgrade going into Bangkok.
And in the case of these two squads, so much Yoru. They have relied on that duelist to make a lot of space to nullify the Taeho on the opposite side by drawing out util, being able to teleport away. Jaw on that again, no surprise. And
So-
Sen, Yoru as well.
Yeah, it's nearly a mirror mode matchup here.
Wow.
The only difference, bang locking in the Omen instead of the Astra. The biggest strength there is the line control from the Paranoia. G2 are going to have a lot of tools in trap plays with all of the Breach util, the Astra util, the Taeho util. I'm so excited to see what they have.
Riot Games Arena, it's now time for the grand finals here at Kickoff. So let's go ahead and send it over to your casters, a couple of fellow esports geriatrics, my good friends. It's Bren and Sideshow.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, feeling like it at this point, honestly, just aged and jaded with time is what apparently happens to you at esports. It's the grand finals of the Americas Kickoffs. We've got Sentinels and G2, and for one team, they are looking for that title that's constantly eluded them. It's been 2 chances for G2 last year, and this is another 3rd chance now for Sentinels. Revenge is on the cards. It's there for the taking, but they have a hell of an uphill battle if they want to grab it.
Everything is stacked against them. They have to go up against G2 without any idea of how they're going to play this mirror composition on split. Although probably there's some level of knowledge from scrims. So it's time for the Samsung match start. You can load up fast with those Samsung SSDs, and we are into it with our grand final, a trophy on the line. And as you said, that is going to mean so much to G2.
Early start, that's a rapid approach. Fault line, salvos, all going to be combined, and it gets Jorgo that space deep up mid. Pushed him up in that forward spot, but it's slow going for now.
And we haven't seen this composition have a mirror match. G2 have not shown it. But when other teams have tried to defend against this comp, when Sen are on the attack side, it is tough to hold space. There's so much utility pressure coming towards you. And Leaf gets tucked up, inserted really deep. Do they go for a re-clear?
Looks like they want to, but there's a gap in the wall, and Leaf already ahead of it. Flash primed and ready into the hands of Zekken, but he's none the wiser. It's going to be just avoiding him completely. And Leaf, potential to do the damage with the backstab occurring. They put in a squeeze now onto those players. Ram control earned and theirs, and out of sight is next for the taking. John QT. Hell of a task. He's got to anchor this one. He's going to be tested momentarily. Pushed up onto the corner. Shots are landing for him though, but his allies being whittled away in the background. The reposition around into the smoke.
30 seconds left.
So in that chaos, but G2 are very aware of it, waiting for that smoke to fade, taking a fight together, leaving it into that 2v1. Quick tap. Snakebite forces it forward. Zelsis earns himself that 1v1. It's clever positioning, but now it's about the timing. Swinging around, Jorgamo holding his ground. A tap as well, wide! And a right click to earn Sentinels that pistol.
It's individual play from Sen that gets the job done. Masterpiece. John Cutie comes out with genuine cinema in the pistol round, landing ghost shots to be able to make it somewhat winnable for Zelsis, but it was still so tough. The G2 players at all times are trying to double up and offer Sen no opportunities to take 1v1s. John still managed to get a couple, and Zelsis separates them with a perfect snakebite placement. That's a Red Bull clutch that carries on the momentum and the excellent gameplay that we saw in the last match from Zelsis. He was untouchable at the beginning of the series against MIBR. Gets him on his feet early, pumped up, and that energy is going to help Sen. Because it's an uphill climb. It is an uphill climb.
It's so damn difficult. Best of fives in this fashion when G2 have that top seed advantage. They were almost perfect coming through the uppers. I mean, it didn't drop them out. Got to be careful though with his composition. That's a judge at that kind of range. And the salvos had some necessary defense. A bit more firepower. The spikes drop down into the middle of nowhere. Flash and a TP pulled to the middle by Jorgmo, but risks needed to be taken. But still, Sen only dropping the one player in the midst of all of that. It'll be healthy going into the third.
It's almost impossible to hold B Heaven against this composition. Again, we haven't seen it with G2 on the attack side, but when Sen are attacking, you're running into Breach, Omen Paranoia. I mean, it's going to be Astra Stuns on the other side here, but you see how Zelsis had, what, like one tiny area that he could play and he still got stunned? It looked so uncomfortable. And yet he got the job done, arguably because G2 were only on the pistols. But it doesn't matter. It'll get the job done. He's up to 5-0.
Bit of spam. Jorg taking a chip damage. Almost taking him out, but he's alive and kicking with that ramp control. Pushed up in the right jump spot. He's hoping and hunting for a bit of information to know if G2 have actually taken it.
And this is very similar to pistol round macro.
Refight.
Jorg has to get out. That was the same position that Leaf tucked himself into on the pistol round and got rewarded after Sen went for a reclear. This time, Sen not putting bodies on the line in the reclear, but using util instead and regaining presence information in a ramp. This is a spot where G2 often like to move to the opposite side, whereas instead here, they're grouping up for a hit onto A.
Yeah, just going to go for it now. Going to be sending forward to that util. That's a good drone. Suppression across the board. A bit of spam into the smokes. That's just Valen. Yeah, unlucky from the rate, but defensive, understanding that the flood could come through.
Great positioning already, though, from G2. They didn't commit too many people to the site. They realized because of the Tejo drone from Trent that it was completely empty, playing for the retake, and now they have Jonapi with Leaf ready to stop this ramp retake. Sen actually split up, trying to go from both sides at once.
Makes it awkward. This clash that's about to occur. Zetkin was opening himself up wide there, but a beautiful one to win out. Clone's going to be tagging and taking a couple of the bullets here. G2 just trying to force and fight their way out of this tricky spot. They were under that pressure, as you mentioned, straight through main, but Jonah P being that backup policy, and John QT left to see what he can do. It's a 1v3 with time ticking against him. Players are offering themselves up, but at this point, a little bit too late to go for the play. Just trying to play for those exit kills. G2, though, survive. 2 rifles in their hands, and a couple of ults as well being close to earned.
It's a great bonus for Sen. Having, you know, zoom out. Yeah, G2 take the round and get on the board, but Sentinels are still in a great spot here.
One enemy remains.
They're going to be able to apply pressure to the economy. Jorgamo's picking up a stinger into this next round.
Wow, good stun. Good stun.
G2 are excited to play today as well. Jorg, stinger. With the Euro ult, though. So definitely a potential for him to come out of the dimensional drift and get a free pick with that light weaponry.
Gone for a B-split.
Did he clear Zekken? I'm not sure Zekken even knows.
Might have missed it, but he's going to be pumping in that chaos destruction, raining down from above. Meant to supplement the action, and Zelsis, he has stepped up to that challenge. Regardless, still, it's too much for him to overcome. Double-faced up there by the G2 players, and side controllers garnered.
Picture perfect. Picture perfect entry from G2, though. That's how you're supposed to use the Euro ult. All the pressure's on Sen now.
Tap, looking for the second wave of things here. Sen going to bite that bullet! And speaking of biting it down, Zekken, he's offloaded it into him, leaving it to the 1v1 though. Spike out into the open, and John QT! He was primed, he was ready onto that angle. Delivers Sentinels a third.
Dude, this is different from Sen today. You see Sentinels on this stage prior to their match against MIBR, like the early games from Sen, they are not hitting shots like this. Not all of them, all at the same time. Zekken just fried Trent and Valen on the entry, and John has been playing great ever since the pistol. Those ghost kills he got, he's also winning clutches like that. In order to beat G2 today, Sen need to be firing on all cylinders, and they've certainly started that way. The form they're bringing to the game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's not like that was a bad round from G2. They had all the util followed up off Jorg's ultimate perfectly. Here's that util pressure into B Heaven. Makes it difficult for Celsius to hold there.
He's forced backed away. It puts the pressure up onto Heaven. Jump spot. Sees the heads. There's an Outlaw going to be waiting for them, though. If they choose to take the fight towards it. Pushing forward. Zekken has already grabbed the one with Valen being dropped, but now putting a bit of a squeeze onto the side. Still, Heaven needs to be regained, and it's weaker weaponry. More util where that came from as well. Coverage on every single avenue.
Cleanly dealt with. The G2 eco finds no results. Zekken's got his ult to be able to play some kind of retake style here. Celsius, we saw him ult a lot in mid. In previous matches where he's played on split. There's no Yoru ult on the other side to try to apply pressure through that. There is Armageddon. It's possible that throwing out a Viper Pit in this next round could be a little bit of a trap. Let's have a look at what he goes for early on here. Yep, he goes for the pit. All right, do they have a good game plan for taking space? Teodron, stun.
Yep. They're throwing the kitchen sink at him at this point, and he's going to try and dominate that position once more. Steps into the pit. And it's a blight onto the map, but not for Celsius.
It was only Jonah P that actually scaled through mid.
Losing that, though. It's a bit whiffy straight through the wall. Armageddon's going to be offloaded anyway. On top of that, with a Cosmic Divide, why not use everything at your disposal? G2 will gain access to the site, gain access to the plan, a renewal into the round in terms of that time.
But this is going to be a very tough post plan. You're holding on against Yoru ult. Zekken sees everybody, and John has his ult. They need to rely on Jorg finding a good timing through the pit in mid, and Celsius has got the watch on.
Decade being watched for, and Jorgamo somehow wins that fight out.
How did Jorg win that?
And with that, Thorn into their side for the TP reposition once more, but the Armageddon is a problem. TP again, step forwards, and John has dealt with him. He was a pesky problem, Jorg. One less thing to worry about still. This is where it gets tight. Thick and heavy in terms of what's being laid down onto this side. Second side step, Happy Feet in the process. Snap to the side. A stun connects, and Trent is firing off.
A 1v2 required from G2, and Trent just keeps the rifle towards the end. The economy is constantly pressured, though, for this side that came through the upper bracket and has yet to drop a map. It's a Red Bull clutch with an amazing stun lineup. I mean, look at that, knowing exactly that that is going to catch on to anybody that's tapping or defusing. But at the same time, I think Sen can feel pretty comfortable, but this becomes a super important round. G2 need to win it. They're on mostly light armor, but they have the ults to work around.
The money's a bit rough on either side as well.
You can run a fast hit here for G2. Yoru ult finds people. Jonah P destroys them.
No hard committal from the G2 players. They clear out most of the way towards the site, and Jorg is going to set himself up. Viper's Pit as well. That's going to make it that much more difficult for the retake to occur for Sen.
So now you're thinking, okay, the retake's going to come from ramp side now. And Valen's there. The Tail drone did not clear.
Missed them.
And if you run this retake, you're going to land into the Rolling Thunder. And Sen's economy is not amazing.
This is very much all in. It's a back-breaking round for either of these teams. Rolling Thunder this time committed over to the left side of the site. A lot of players going to be collected, stunned up in the process. Second in and through towards the back. Masterful shot, returning with the fire once more, but Narrator's dropped down to help them out. Reinforcements are arriving rapid at that. What is that from Jorgamo? Snaps to the side. Still alive. The pit causes chaos, causes confusion. Having to defuse. And it all comes down to Valen. Safe pair of hands. Waiting on the sidelines, but knows exactly when to strike.
That's what G2 needed to be able to get back into this game. The money's flipped. Sen and now the brokies on the defense side. What was this? What?
That's okay.
So is that how he won a trophy, was it? He's just been cheating all these years. Oh, that's crazy. But it was the ults that ended up winning it there for G2, and a great awareness of Valen's positioning. So now Sen, bad weaponry. They are going into Bang though, who has the Guardian, and John's gonna be baiting for it.
And holding it up and holding it down. Bang Guardian, straight through the wall. Bullet's not gonna be caring about that business.
Trent took damage from that. Actually, Trent and Valen both took damage from that. It's a nice little trap play. Sen are cooking.
It's the opening that they were hoping for, especially when their money has been battered to this degree, because there's guns all across the board here for G2.
I mean, you could easily classic right-click Valen or Trent to death at this point. So the damage is super important. Sen don't know it's happened, though, necessarily, because it was off the back of util damage, so they might not realize these players are as vulnerable as they are. Valen's calling a re-hit onto B, and Sen are still here, lurking, waiting. This looks really bad for G2.
The util being held for both of these teams. It's going to be a clash. The danger mainly here for G2. They can hear it starts being propped down. Fault line salvos clearing the way, but it's going to be used pound for pound. You can see it. It's a snake bite, and the salvos of their own. Senna willing to hold on to this one too for Nail. Not shying away from the fight and the action. Paranoia on top of it with the orb up into their face, but that is spam into the backline. Maybe just off the TP. Sound cue, something being heard off the back of it. Still
15 seconds.
They're swiveling around all over the place here, and time is running short. Shy of the mark still. Wrapping around. Bullets are nailing. And head's not quite popped, but players are weak enough that the slightest of breeze is going to be bringing them down to their knees. A 2v2. Or back up. Popped up. And then he saw the positioning, and he saw that he shots. John has just ripped it off the heads, and Celsius alongside him.
The composure from G2 almost sailed them through those stormy waters. But Sen come out on top. Once more, the individual form has got to be praised. It's a 2v2 where the players, they've got 60 health between them.
Yeah, it's a different Sentinels that have shown up to this game.
And G2 had just got themselves into a better spot. We were just talking about the fact that with that huge ult round that they got onto A, they've broken the Sentinels' economy. What matters that if you lose then to the eco? Celsius, by the way, utterly continuing that momentum from yesterday. 11-4. There was no world in which you could have convinced me a week ago that Celsius would be out here diffing Leaf. Leaf looked like the best player in Americas, and kind of has been looking like that for longer than Celsius has been having big impact games. We think of Celsius as the glue guy that keeps Sentinels together.
Yeah. The emotional element that's going to be lifting the team out of tough times, but this is purely in the server in terms of his impact. I mean, he stepped up massively, and honestly, this time out, first time we've had to breathe.
Yeah.
As these compositions, I mean, listen, you look at these, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a slow game, two teams testing, poking, prodding at each other. But there's been no wasted moments from either of them.
Anytime there's a Yoru ult online, the attacking team is sending it. And then, even when they don't have the Yoru ult online, they have so much attacking initiator power that they can take space really quickly. Maybe that means that G2 should be slowing things down a little, trying to bait out the Sen re-clears. But Sen have also had great reads. Like, for example, in that prior round, they kept the 4 players stacked over towards B with only Zekken watching A heaven. John has not just been firing, he's been reading the game very well. After the pistol, it should be said, it has been somewhat even in terms of the rounds. But G2 have been constantly under economic pressure, and now you see the result of that.
Jorgenmo was the one to take that contact up towards ramp, so he pulled out a lot of that util prize. Elsis, this spot, not clear by the drone. It's a slight pocket though. The presence of mind just not quite there for G2. Still vulnerable up. Softens up the targets for Celsius, still survives, still stands his ground.
That's a spot that you could argue is too high risk, high reward to play on an anti-eco.
I know the timings.
He's still going for it. The Sen players are still confident enough to make plays and not play scared in these spots. Can G2 turn this? They applied a little bit of ramp pressure at the start of the round, but John is still watching it. They've got 2 players in mid where they last saw G2, and 2 players playing for information.
35 seconds, Jiggle. Lay it down to stun. And like we've been talking, they're not shying away from the fight, even though they're against the eco. Willing to take risks, willing to take fights! G2 will be lucky to get a plant in this instance. Trent, barely alive, barely hanging on. The stun and the salvos might do the job, but it's a pick your poison situation. He's out into the open. He's honestly lucky to be granted just that. Still, shut down. Sen now up to 6. It's astounding from them, this bounce back that is literally happening on our screens.
And so similar to last year. The low bracket run, kickoff, finding momentum, finding their form.
Yeah.
This Sen team went on a revival tour in 2024. This organization was a bit more of just like the clout org, kind of, prior to 2024. They were popular, but weren't really doing too much. People were harkening back to the glory days of when, TENS was on Reyna. And then last year, they proved that with the right squad, they could actually win trophies and bring them back to Sen City.
One enemy
Did a
remaining.
great job at the start of the year. Made top 4 at Champs as well, a second kind of peak. And now they're looking to run that back again in 2025. G2 can't afford to let too much momentum build. They absolutely need this one.
They really do. You don't want echoes of the past as much as Sen want that. Resurgence of form through the lowers. Taking it all the way to Bangkok. For G2, they've been in this spot before. Making it to the finals, but never able to lift that trophy in Americas. Money in the back pocket though means that they've got rifles to work with, and a lot of util where that came from. 20 seconds into the round, steadily taking that control, but instead of being so good with the reclays and the refights, and you're seeing it again, used out, primed and ready once more. It's flashes exchanged, a quick tap to the side. Jogamo is able to at least return that kill. Not quite a trade, but it turns it into the 4v4.
G2 still got quite a bit of space though.
Armageddon. Cosmic Divide on top of it. It's a
Bang goes
unique
forwards.
one. Yeah, it goes forwards, but Bang is ahead of it. Oh my, timing to be caught. You can hear it. Boom's ricocheting behind him. Team's being bought and brought back into the fight and the fray. Plant online for G2. No pushback, and not playing anybody on site.
They're going to wait for the Euro ultimate. Here comes Seconds retake.
Yeah, Dimensional Drift is going to give full information now for retake to occur. Spots the one. It's a Yoru player though. Jogamo has potentially evacuation, but I'm not too sure how many TPs he's actually got. Inside the smoke to play around, weaving in and out, and it's about that timing. Missed it. Narrate finds it. Salvos pushing them back and away. They've got the pull as well to play this one to the early hours of this. Narrate sticking, half onto the diffuse already. These are the Wingons board, and it is perfection in motion. Sentinels just dissecting with precision all across the site. They know exactly what is going on.
Amazing protocols there from Sen. On the retake, they're in. They take space. And then they have 2 players ready to catch the Heaven reflank. Bang goes with them. Bang is part of this retake and then teleports back up to Heaven to be able to play with Zelsis. So you don't just put everything on Zelsis to stop the Heaven reflank. Valen was holding pull for way too long, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. That's 3 retakes in a row. Sen are running away with this map.
That is echoes of their old split gameplays. One of the things they did so well was that A retake protocols. It was missing at the beginning of this year, to be honest.
It's so similar to last year, isn't it?
Yeah.
They have changed a lot. You know, John has changed his role completely. They lost 2 really solid structural members.
Celsius an attempt to take the timing past that one. Fault line's good though. Slows down the potential pace that could be occurring on the backside of it. Celsius suppressed up though, and we'll have to respect that space is given up in through mid.
If Jogamo manages to get a kill, he has the Dimensional Drift, and that could change the texture of this fight a lot. But at the moment, he's not being offered anything.
Bang is so far forwards though. Smoke to play himself inside of, and TP to get away from it.
They're doing this stuff constantly. I mean, again, it's on a situation where G2 have got a weaker buy, but they're so happy to take aggressive fights and find the timings. They're playing with 0 respect, and I think that's really knocking G2.
It's definite key.
30 seconds
Players,
left.
though, look their way up forwards. The gun might just give away the plot. Bang takes the timing and takes their heads away. Spice dropped down in the middle of nowhere here. G2 don't really have a chance in hell. Jorgamo rips it from behind. That's a dimensional drift. Considered but not ripped off. And the rate locking it all in. Down and out. There's no stepping over that boundary of heaven control. This is 8 rounds now for Sen.
It's too clean. It looks lovely. But at the same time, G2 are not the same squad that we've seen on this stage so far in Americas. They're getting caught. They're not double clearing smokes together. They're not aware of certain angles. And they're not anticipating these re-clears, which, to Sen's credit, are wonderfully timed. I know that G2 had talked a lot, joked kind of painfully in the past about them choking when it came to the finish line in certain Americas tournaments before. They're going to have to turn this around.
Once more, no time to catch your breath. Jogan was all the way in with a dimensional drift, and again bang with the disrespect! Dominating the smoke positions. Out through the back as well as an Armageddon. Lay it down on top. Flash in your face. You are blinded up. And very little chance, very little opportunity for Jonah P to pave a way to victory. It's a 9-3 start to split.
Utter domination. If you listen to the analysts on this show, you'd be expecting domination in this match. Not this way around. No. Both of these squads have managed to battle against upsets in the bracket so far to be able to get their way to Masters Bangkok. And now we're here fighting for a trophy. And Sen, they've brought their final form. G2 yet to show up.
Unreal confidence on display by Sentinels. And will they be able to keep that momentum going? That is the big question we're going to be finding out after this.
Ooh, stuck paying for that old phone? Don't be. You know, at Verizon, we'll pay off your phone. And you'll get iPhone 16 on us. That's a value of up to $1,600, only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Risky maneuvers from Sen, honestly playing with utmost confidence, but sometimes that's what it takes. They're here against G2. It's a matchup where, listen, G2 have the advantage of that upper bracket. They can choose which maps they end up going to in terms of banning 2 of them out of the pool potential of 5. And this is just against, I think, a lot of our expectations. G2 didn't even show this map before. Another advantage they've got going for them as well. They can prep more time in that department. On top of it, Sen have just come off the back of playing a best of 5.
At the same time, it feels like Sen knew exactly what to expect in this game because they play almost exactly a mirror comp.
Yeah.
They had such amazing reads in the first half.
Heavy stack players from the G2 side. Salvos clearing out towards Ven. That's a fault line up on top of the angle. He's trying to play and defend his teammate. Stuns are going to be fading, but flash into the face when the clone goes down. Still off to the round. Poor. Okay, push forwards all the way. JunQT, leader not just in name, taking space and taking fight straight to them. They are cleaning up every possible angle where a player could be hiding, tucked to the corner. Leaves it down to Trent in that 1v4, and he's not anticipating the hell position. John with 3.
John's been amazing in this match so far. Both of the pistols, he looked fabulous with a ghost in hand. 13 and 5. And he's not at the top of the scoreboard. Like, it's just Sen have turned up today. Some spots where you'd expect G2, from what we've seen so far, to be getting big value, big individual moments, and they're not here. 10-3. A pure eco for G2. Sen with a chance to charge up ults. They've been actually really heavily focused on maximizing orb value.
Understanding the importance as well. Get your ult online, it just allows you to disrespect defensive util. Second can just run in, ping out the player's positions. The threat of that fault line salvo combo. And Zekken can take liberties here, just trying to fight for this space. He's not going to give up a gun if he does go down. He's only got the ghost in hand. The rest of his team going to be trying to split this one up and through. So he will fall. It's a refight by G2, doubled up together. But as I said, it only handed over to Ghost. And that is just unaware of the space that could be taken.
Valen with incredibly wrong read there on what was going on.
Timing from Jorg, slips his way right through the back.
And those Elsis falls on the flank. This is going to be Sentinels for sure taking this up to 11. It's a question of who they want to prioritize the ult orb onto at this point, I think, and John's going to want to fight for it. Armageddon, more useful, closer.
Certainly so. Don't want to give up the gun, though, as well.
It was actually quite a nice strat from Sen in this round as well. They send, as you were talking about, Zekken alone through B main. There's John getting the kill. But the rest of them, they smoked B heaven to make it feel like it was a full B main hit. And then they actually flashed up through mid into B heaven. So hoping to try to catch some of the G2 players stood around in that spot looking towards B main. That's why Valen had no idea that B heaven was taken. That smoke that was thrown from Bang disguised that play completely.
Holy shit, I'm...
He is.
Cut the end of that off, but he is frying.
Yeah, he is frying.
That's probably what he meant to say.
That's not the word that I think that anyone has a problem with.
No, I can fill in the gaps. A quick play from Sen again. Well, not Sen, I should say G2. That's going to be that util expended and an orb reclaimed. Poor position by Trent, just jiggling. Almost receiving a few bullets as well for the trouble, but Drone sets it forward, an attempt to spam as well from Jonah P. He's trying to be brave, and you have to be at this point. It's 11-3, but Sentinels are the ones in full control of the situation.
Time to jump.
A 3v4, and John just causing a bit of a, or calling, sorry, a bit of a pause in the round. Bang took pressure in mid, and there takes a fight.
Okay.
Head taken. Valen wins the smokes battle, takes out the lurker, and now they can focus heavily on A. Sen without any space at all in the map right now. So things not looking great here. But a reminder that this is also pretty much a bonus. He's only Zekken that ended up full buying into this one. I think he's fairly confident he can get his Euro online and go into the next with, what, like a Bucky or something. And he'll be fine. G2 need this, and they need it cleanly, and Valen's going to have to come up with more than just the kill on Bang in mid.
One hell of a trial awaiting him, and Salva's going to make it that much more difficult. Spraying them down is the only chance he had. At least it takes one down to the grave. Heaven watchful onto the angle. Again, the util is just perfect. Buys that time and that space. Dimensional Drift is going to be committed. That's second. He's using it, getting the info. Double drop down. Backs to the possible position, but now they should know where these players might be still out in the open. It was Trent on an island, and Jorg left to do it all. 1v2! Narrate! 3-piece overall. Spray down into the body for just a bit of extra spice. It's Sentinels up to that 12th.
Every player on Sen is alive and playing some of their best Valorant that we've seen from them this year. Zekken's entries have been fabulous. Narrate, who we've seen struggle with his own individual performance, and the emotional ramifications of that is electric. 15-7, and Zelsis, occasionally a weak point for Sen in kickoff so far, carries on that momentum, top of the scoreboard. This version of Sen is going to be almost impossible to stop.
Looks like they got the perfect read. Deep mid push by G2, but no players waiting for them towards that B site. G2 are going to be having to play this in a full 5v5 retake, safe plan. Tuck to the corner, a bit of spam. Aftershock committed. Flank. Vital kill. And the rate drops.
Very exposed position for Narrate to be playing. Now Zelsis
Bites.
cleared as well.
Top clearance!
Should have been.
Punishing.
Zelsis.
Brought down at the end of the day. G2 finding these players and finding a couple of heads for their troubles. Second, too much to overcome into that spot.
G2 get the 4th. But this would have to be the first of 9 rounds in a row to bring things to overtime. And I mean, if we're thinking back to SEN's ridiculous 19-21 game that we saw in the match against MIBR, they went up 9-3 in that one, and they did kind of toss a bit of a lead, but it wasn't a 12-3 lead. At some point, doesn't matter how well G2 are playing, they need SEN to unplug their monitors, I think, to lose this.
There's just no room for errors there from G2, despite winning it.
Boys.
You can call it that silver lining, but okay, still smiles on their faces, keeping cheery demeanor. Now ult offloaded nice and early. This is Jorgamo just tracking down these players. He sees the one.
Zelsis is running for his life.
Line the coverage. Right there to help him out over the shoulder.
Oh, that's desperate play, I think.
It is.
Hoping against hope that Zelsis wouldn't get any help. I'd love to hear the comms in that moment too. They're 12-4 up. I'm sure they're getting a little silly, getting a bit excited.
Maybe screaming for help.
Here's the triple push.
This is what's needed from G2, honestly. Triple push from them. No kills found. Backs himself up. With the player disadvantage, a lot of difficulties. 50-second mark into this round here. SEN not opting into it. All walking away here. Salva's going to be used out towards Vent, but G2 planted themselves into mid. They know they're not taking firm control of that area.
A little bit of info gathered towards mid, so they're not going to commit that Rolling Thunder. Going to have it for a retake.
30 seconds left.
A lot on balance. Still Armageddon. Forced to respect it. TP forward. Zekken cuts up the angles, cuts up the gap, and a perfect flash at that.
So good.
Spam gives him that timing, and Sentinels, they can feel it. It's blood in the water, and they are hunting it down. Trent, slightly ajar there. Leaf tucks himself down to hell. Wait a second. Spoke too soon, but Zekken might be able to salvage this operation. And with it, an early finish to the map. Fake TP trips him out. And that's a 13-4 start in this best-of-5 grand finals.
Not the way most of us expected this to begin, but my God, SEN look awesome. Every player had their moments. Bang, somebody that I didn't talk about too much, but the way that he's playing around those heaven spots and the timings that he's taking between teleporting up onto rafters and playing in outside of the smokes, it's just all working.
Yeah.
Every timing hit, and all proactive from SEN. They took control of the game. They got the reads on what G2 were doing. They were finding the timings, taking the risks, and reaping the rewards. G2 have squandered opportunities at trophies before because they haven't brought their A-game in the biggest moment.
Yeah.
They've played amazing at various points, but not when it mattered, and today it matters right now.
They're going to need a stern talking to as well, because that thought is going to be just rippling into the back of their minds over and over again. They cannot drop this opportunity in the finals once more, but SEN are just on top of the world right now with the way that they are playing. We're going to be finding out more on the other side of this.
Even up though in the post plant, Link stepping forward on the side, getting ahead of the U2. Oh, it's just too easy, baby!
That's what we're waiting on. Okay, so they've seen him. And he's been caught in this corner a couple of times with 10 HP. It's all he needs, Darker!
是吧？枪也不也对，位置也对，一手也对，啥都对。来了，这把双剑暴走，而且后点位全被罩出来了，可高，还在死。
Off fault line, dash forward, but Town is famous. Able to make anything happen. Izu continues to fill space. Quick little right click, and then they all line up. Flawless finish, 4K here.
Take a bow.
Red Bull gives you wings.
G2 doing enough to slow it down. Lee's timing is impeccable.
Silent all over, and second swings backside, gets 3.
We just got to witness a very unexpected, dominant win from Sentinels on the map pick of G2. Really coming down to the prowess that they displayed on the defensive side. Now, getting into this, I want to begin by paying attention to G2 on attack. This is an important round for them. Economy is on the line, and in addition to that, take note of the 2 ultimates they have, the Cosmic Divide and that Armageddon. They're posted up outside of A to start the round off the top. Some standard util coming through. You can see here, there's that cloud thrown up by Leaf to obscure any view from ramps. And pretty standard, you have Jonah here on that fault line. There it is, standard line. You get the guided salvos in as well. G2, they're able to start taking this space up a ramp, fight forward off of the wall that Leaf had placed there as well. Some counter util coming in from SEN. Great kill from Narrate, insta-trade from Jaw, who then teleports away all the way back to A main here, grouping up with the rest of the team. So now to go a little bit ahead, G2 cut noise, they contact forward, and then comes this explosion of ultimates at the top. You have the Armageddon to clear elbow and any players retreating into screens. Cosmic Divide splits up the site, makes it free for them to get in. You can see Bang there on the map. He wants to try and catch some sort of timing play around the wall, isn't able to do so. G2 right now scaling into the site. You can see that the plant is coming in for heaven, so they're going to want to be able to get up ramp to get back into that proper angle where they can easily spam the spike. Now this is a crucial moment. Zekken pops his dimensional drift, gets in, and realizes that on this minimap, it is only Jaw in the site. This is an opportunity for the rest of SEN to now scale in, and in the meantime, there's a rotation coming from Zelsis, where he's going to go back up into heaven, with the team now realizing it's planted for heaven by G2. He's going to try to nullify that by picking up a good angle there. So here's SEN scaling it to site, and now they're getting on the spike early, getting the util out of the enemy Taeho. And this is the crucial moment. If you go back just slightly, while they're on the spike, notice Bang's positioning right now. He's going to teleport up into heaven to set up a crossfire with Zelsis. So when G2 try to get in there to have the angle on the spike, they just get destroyed. It's Valen left in main. Nothing they can do. The pathing there from SEN to be able to shut down that plant for heaven was lovely. They win around breaking the economy of G2, and they get 2 big ultimates out of them. Wow. It was that defensive half that was just stellar from SEN.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that without a doubt, this is not what we had anticipated coming into this. Not to take anything away from Sentinels, but to see G2 really just feel out of place in that whole map was quite alarming.
Yeah, I had confidence in G2 having a good plan out the gate, but it's always a risk when you're picking a map that you haven't played yet into an official for the first time, especially in such a high-stakes map. The round you showed was excellent coordination from Sentinels, and that was the stuff that was missing in some of those earlier games. They hadn't seen G2 play this comp, but they play it themselves. They do such a good job at giving space, fighting back in together, and also just showing some incredible confidence, which is a continuation from their last game. And Zelsis, for me, really exemplified that, Wyatt.
Yeah, the utility from them has been so much more coordinated, and now, crucially though, they're not losing the fundamentals in the midst of having so much to do as a team with the utility. That went out the window against teams earlier in the bracket like Loud, who were just more focused on shooting them with crossfires. That was Sen's undoing, but not now. They are so much more refined.
But they're also having that confidence, bang fighting into smoke. Zelsis playing forward in mid and taking the risks that they sometimes need to come out on top of these rounds. And for Zelsis, this is such a meteoric performance in the MIBR series and now. You can see his stats average across 2024 compared to that last BO5 in the lower bracket and now this first map of our America's Kickoff Finals. He is on an absolute heater right now and is doing so much more than just being the emotional leader to keep his team in these games and win that first dominant map against G2.
Yeah, that and dominant it was. And if you were coming into this one expecting G2 to walk away with this one potentially 3-0, well, you are sorely mistaken. And folks, we got ourselves a series here because G2 Esports Sentinels, well, Sen is up 1-0. This can go either way. We'll see you on the other side, folks, for the continuation of this grand finals.